Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome back. Hopefully, you had a great weekend, a great 3-day weekend. You guys rested because we have a pretty busy week ahead of us. And as you guys know, today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and therefore the markets were closed. Futures markets are open. They're doing pretty well, I say. But today, normally what I want to do is moving forward, I want to switch it up a little bit. I want to be able to do some macro overviews on the Sunday and give some sort of outlook as to what we may expect for the week and start building up a watch list per se of several names that I've been keeping tabs on for the week and that are in the midst of a good trade setup and a good breakout point. So I want to bring you guys to something also that's going to be happening in the coming weeks is that we're going to be doing some earnings. So these are the earnings for Q4. We have Apple on the 27th. We have Tesla on the 27th also. Netflix reports tomorrow after the market closes. Before market opens, we have Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, and AMD on the 26th. Okay, so several of these names I'll be doing some analysis this week to see if there's some potential setup to trade. Although I tend to try to stay away from earnings trades or trading any earnings reports just because I feel like those could be a hit or miss or a gamble. Some people like to do it; they prefer to do so. That's their edge. I like to stay away, see where the price is, see the action, and stay on the sidelines to then take action. That's my preferred way of trading. So I'll be on the sidelines, but nevertheless, it'll be a good opportunity to start analyzing what we can expect for future growth of these companies if they start at least showing us some guidance, which will be positive. Just because given that last year during COVID, at the peak of COVID, a lot of the companies were withdrawing their guidance because, as we all know, this was practically something that none of us had ever experienced or within our lifetime. So they withdrew guidance, and hopefully this is going to give us some good news, new guidance, and we see some potential for good trades ahead of us. Okay, so I want to be able to, as I mentioned, I want to be able to give you guys an overview on the macro outlook. So, for instance, do a quick analysis on gold, the dollar, and see how they correlate and how we can make some trade decisions based on their price actions and how the S&P or the broad market is doing in comparison to these asset classes. So in front of us, I have gold, and so what I've been looking at is that we've rallied up in wave 3, and now we have been consolidating for several months now. I say from August, the top of high of August, all the way down to January of this month of 2021, and we see this as a complex W, X, and Y correction. So as you see here, we go down in W, up in X, and then we close down forming, this belongs here, closing down W. So we rallied up, and this was during the last week of the Senate runoff elections, and we thought that we would have broken up above the trend, right above the previous high, but we rejected it. And looking at it, if we take a Fibonacci retracement down from the top of 3 down to bottom of W, we see that we did reject the 618 retracement, and so that's a pretty standard and pretty strong resistance level, and also made so it was a confluence levels with the previous high. So the way I see this now is that we're trending lower into in five waves, and I do anticipate this to continue lower given that we have been rejecting previous highs. Okay, so I'm not going to predict the price, but I do see some resistance in the previous levels here to bring us lower. And once that happens, once we find bottom, then I do anticipate a trade in gold. Moving on to the dollar. So due to a lot of printing, right, and Biden giving us his stimulus plan last week, we do anticipate that there will be a lot of printing in the dollar, and therefore we see further downside. I mean, don't get me wrong, we could see this could be a possible run up in the 5-way fashion, but until we break this downtrend line channel, then we do anticipate lower. So since the highs of wave B, we see down in 1, up in 2, down in 3, up in 4, and we're looking for wave 5. So wave 5, I do anticipate wave 5 to be, I actually have it here, 100% of, so let's see, let me delete this and let's do this again. So please bear with me here. Okay, so we can do a extension to the bottom of the third wave to the completed fourth wave, and we see that 100% of that extension, which is, I say, textbook, falls down to an 86 spot 128, and that should give us a completed bottom for the dollar. And once we complete this overall structure, we can anticipate the S&P or the overall market to start trending lower. So once we complete this, moving on to the SPY or the SPX, we can anticipate, and this has been the question for a lot of us, is this the top? And based on these conditions, I don't think that the broader market has reached its top yet. I still see in different names like the Nasdaq or a lot of the S&P ETFs or spot ETFs such as the XLK, the XLF, they show that we still have a little bit of upside, and also on the SMH and the semiconductors ETF, we still see some upside. So until we break above this trend channel and we see higher move, then we can anticipate that the S&P can head lower. But for now, we see that this is going to keep on trending lower and a little bit more upside on the SPX before we see the overall correction. So now that we're on the S&P, let me take you to the daily chart and let's review. So down in wave C, which was the low of March 20, we are up in 1, down in 2, and this we can call an overall advance in wave 3. We did a sideways correction, which falls within the guideline of alternation, which says that wave 2, or whichever correction, one of them is directional, the other corrective wave could be in a sideways fashion. So we see that wave 2 was directional, wave 4 could be or should have been in the sideways, which is what we are displaying here. So bringing you down to the 1 hour chart, from the bottom of the fourth wave, which completed on October 30th, we are up in 1, down in 2, up in 3, and now this is the dilemma, right? So given the price action that we see in the dollar, I do anticipate that this sell-off was in a 5-wave fashion, but this could be an overall flat completing wave 4 here. Perhaps we see a little bit of more downside, but futures are ticking higher. So at this point, I am ruling out the fact that wave 4 was completed here, and that we saw a truncated fifth, and that we're going to start heading lower. I don't think that's the case. What I do think is that wave 4 was completed here, and this was an overall sideways correction. Falling down in the guidelines of alternation. Again, this was more of a directional move on wave 2. So wave 4, we can expect for it to be more in the sideways. So I still favor more upside on the S&P. We can anticipate that a couple of weeks, I don't know, and I don't know how long. It's very hard to say, but the way I'm looking at this is that I'm being cautious with my positions. I want to trade the upside, but not until I see a break above the highs that I will consider a trade on this index. All right, so once we complete this overall wave 1, which is the entire move from the March low, right? We do anticipate that. Please excuse me for that notification there. We do anticipate that we may see, whichever wave 1 falls, we may see a wave 2 correction, ideally between between anywhere the 23 to the 38%, depending on what happens in the world. But hopefully we see a very shallow correction so that we can ramp up higher on the wave 3. So do anticipate, trade carefully, because we are getting close to our all-time highs and our top on the overall markets. Okay, so the names that I want to review with you guys today are Zoom, DraftKings, and Palantir. So I'll take you to the Zoom chart, and I've done a little bit of analysis on this already. So given that this is a relatively new name, and we saw that it had an amazing run during the COVID crisis, because everybody stayed home and a lot of businesses started doing their online meetings and using Zoom as a platform, as a preferred platform. So it found a lot of use and therefore rallied. So we don't know if this is one or A, or or 2 of B, but nevertheless we see that we have formed 5 waves up, and this has been confirmed because if we sort of test it out with our Fibonacci extensions, then we see that wave 2 did come down to the 50% area, which is acceptable. It's one of the levels that is textbook, and so that we anchor wave 2 there. And the way we confirm that wave 3 was here is that we do an extension of wave 1 down to wave 2, and we fell within those 1618% extension of wave 1, which is acceptable as well. So, and also what confirmed this move was, as I mentioned to you guys, the guideline of alternation. So this was a directional move in the correction of wave 2, while corrective wave 4 was more sideways, and then we ramped up to wave 5. So wave 1 or wave A, it doesn't really matter. What matters is what's happening here now. So a lot of these, I think that from taking you down to the 1 hour, which kind of it will be a little bit more clear. So we have filled this gap, okay, and so and then we're forming a falling wedge. So which by nature, falling wedges are a profitable pattern, which once it reaches its apex, we can expect higher prices. So we found support on wave B. Another tell was that if we take our fib levels, right, or retracement from the low to the high, we see that there is a perfect confluence, right? This cannot be more perfect, guys. So the 50% was support, close gap, ramping higher. Perhaps if we start seeing, this is my idea, right? So if we start rallying up, break this downtrend line, we see a 5-wave move, and sort of like this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. The test of this line, right? The retest of this downtrend line is the key entry to take us long into perhaps new highs or above the previous high, right? So we still have some room to go. All right, that's Zoom. The next name that I have on my list is DraftKings. DKNG is the ticker symbol. So again, these are relatively new names, so it's pretty difficult to label them, but we see that this is some sort of corrective move or some zigzag or flat. So what I see here is that we have been testing. So first of all, up in A, down in B, 3-wave fashion, then 5 waves up in C. We corrected this move down in A, 5-wave move, and then 3 waves up in minor degree A, down in B, and now we're forming wave B. So where are we here? We see that a lot of this area here was acting as resistance for this price action here, the structure. And so once we were able to break resistance, here we found it as being support. So this is a confirmation that we are in a uptrend move. Okay, so if we found 1, 2, and 3, right, we see we can count 5 waves to start anticipating wave C, all right, wave B to be completed. So as it stands now, we can possibly say that we will break new highs in DraftKings. So keep an eye out, all right. Just make sure that if keep a tight stop on this name, because this does move quick. So all right, next up is PLTR, which is another new name, and is being hyped up. It did a big move on its IPO, and so what we see here is up in 1, down in 2, up in 3, down in 4. Completed wave 5. This could be 1 or A, and then now we formed a pretty lengthy sideways corrective move in wave 2 or B. All right, so we see here 3 waves down in A, 3 waves up in B, 1, 2, and 3 down in C, 1, 2, and 3 up in D, and now we anticipate 3 more waves down to complete wave C before we move higher. So the way I'm looking to trade this is that once we break the channel and we break above this high, then I would like to see Palantir move above 33.55. Okay, so that's my quick outlook for the week. I know it was a little bit fast and down to the point, but I like to start testing this out. As you guys know, this is a new channel and I am getting used to this, but I do appreciate everybody that has watched my videos, my recent videos, and I do appreciate everybody who has liked it and commented on it and subscribed. It is helping my channel. It is helping me grow. This is for educational purposes. This is me documenting my ideas, and I like to help you guys out. Also, if we can all comment and share, we can grow together. So please don't hesitate on asking questions, and consider subscribing and liking my video. Okay, so the next video that I'm going to release this week is going to cover Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies. As we know, the last video I did was it was a quick update, and we were anticipating a directional wave 2, but given recent price action, we are seeing a relatively sideways corrective move. So stay tuned for that video, and as always, thank you again. Really do appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe. You know the deal. Take good care of you guys. Bye bye.